but you were able to help me take that larger picture, and you were really clear about what I wanted to bring forth from my heart.
All right. Hey, everyone. Ree Perez here, CEO and founder of Branding for the People. And I'm excited to share with you now a really good friend and a client of Branding for the People, Emily Prendiville. So we had a lot of fun working together, and I'm excited for you to meet her and for you to learn a little bit about the branding process, what that was like for her. And perhaps you can learn something new about what might be available for you as you think about your brand. So Emily, how's it going?
Terrific. How about for you
Yeah.
today?
I'm doing great, thank you. So, for those people who haven't quite met you yet, and they should know you, but why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and the business that you're in?
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you. So I'm in the financial field, and in many ways, I guess I'd say an advisor to advisors. And so I followed a traditional path for so many years in the industry, and really changed my thinking after the market correction of '08 and '09, because I believed that the economics of the world had changed.
Yeah.
And with that, I questioned if I should continue telling my clients the same thing. And it was really the quest for my answering that question that has brought me to where I am today, and to actually see the industry from the side of the evolution that it's gone through over the years.
Yeah. So Emily, so we met in a very different scenario, a non-traditional sort of like we didn't meet like at a business event or anything, but we connected immediately. And I just knew that who you are and who you were targeting, conscious businesses, was totally in alignment with, who we like to surround ourselves with and the types of business that we work with. So but then we quickly shifted the conversation. You had reached out and you're like, hey, I think I'm interested in branding. What was the problem that you were trying to solve through branding?
I would say I had multiple problems. So thanks for handling them all. First and foremost was, at that time, I had a logo for my business, but I really hadn't built a brand. And what had evolved over the last 10 years in this industry, because of the way that I now view things and the message that I share with people, I realized that rather than looking for a company name, people would be able to identify and seek me out based on my own name. And right. I have to say, Ree, I felt really uncomfortable at first building a brand around my own name.
Building a personal brand, right?
Yeah. So I'm really grateful for the way that you helped me appreciate why that was the smart way to build a brand. And it's certainly proven to be so.
Yeah. Well, since you brought that up, it's a smart way. It's also, it may not always be the smartest way for every type of business. It's a way that works strategically for you. I just unpack, what was that concern or hesitation that you had around building a personal brand? Because that's one of the top questions we get all the time. Should I build a business brand or a personal brand? What was the hesitation or fear or,
I guess that, to put my name out there in that way, there was something that felt very ego-based about it. And yet, again, within my industry, because I had become nationally known, that is how people would look me up. They didn't know the name of my company.
Right.
Partly because I hadn't created it as a brand, but This was much easier to attract the type of business and clients that I want to attract.
Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. In fact, that's the number one thing that we hear all the time. It's, building a personal brand feels very egoic, very narcissistic is some of the words that I've heard a lot of time. And you're so not any of those things. So it's just interesting. If it works for you, if you're listening in and you're someone who strategically it makes sense to build a personal brand, just know that, you can build a personal brand and have it not be so ego-based. Okay. So that you had no brand, you basically just had a logo, and you were shifting from a business brand financial transitions, right?
Yes.
To your name, Emily Prendiville. So you're shifting to a personal brand. So I do want to ask, of course, we met in a very non-traditional way, and we connected immediately. But ultimately, what was the reason why you ended up hiring me, hiring Branding for the People? What was the deciding factor for you that had you say yes?
I'm a very intuitive person. Yes. And so as I'm talking to business people, it may not be the most business oriented response, but it really is for me. It is about the relationship. And I felt that, I certainly trust you and felt that you would deliver above and beyond and walk me through the pieces of like my mind doesn't want to go and do the stuff that you do, but you have to be able to skillfully guide me there to get what you needed in order to do the best job for me, and really creating that brand. So I felt really confident in how you present yourself, but also in your inquiry, in your inquisitiveness and the questions that you would ask to really drive at what you needed, and then be able to really model it back to me in a very concise way.
Okay.
I had that.
Well, that's fair. I appreciate that. And, and it really is. You have lots of options to choose from. And even though we did have a connection, you still could have worked with another firm and call it intuition. I think a lot of business owners should probably listen to their intuition a bit more. So, but that is important. Well, talk to me then. Well, what was like the process? So for a lot of times, people who haven't gone through a branding process, it's so abstract for them. What was the process like for you? What worked really well? Or maybe what were some of the surprises that you might have found out in going through the process?
So what worked really well. I mean, you started off as my lead person, and it was as if, I guess, you were bringing me down through a funnel. Really is how it felt, like, this bigger picture. And I remember like going back and forth because I was still really wrapping my head around the personal brand, and several times actually wanted to go back and revisit maybe a different approach with you. But you were able to help me take that larger picture, and you were really clear about what I wanted to bring forth from my heart. And,
yes.
And that was so important. And you really helped me in that with the languaging, and bringing me through a series of questions that, and then when you introduced other members of your team, it definitely felt like a team approach. And it didn't feel like, you were starting off and then you were, moving on, I guess, and stepping away, because you were always part of it, even if it wasn't your focal point in the process. Your team, they were all tremendous. They really, I can remember how my mind just didn't want to work on this stuff. So I feel like,
well, hopefully we made it as painless as possible for you.
Yeah, you did. I don't know, but it was more work than I anticipated, I will say, on my side.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I get that a lot. So, you're right. It is, you use the word funnel, the word that we like to use is, it's sort of like simplification, right? So there's it's organization and simplification. It's sort of like organizing all the stuff and then simplifying that into a strategy so that you can then amplify that in your marketing, into your sales and your business building activities. All right. So Emily, having gone through the process now you're well on the other side of that, and your brand's been out in the marketplace. Your new brand has been out in the marketplace for at least a couple of years now. What are some of the benefits or outcomes that you were able to experience since the rebrand?
Well, I love that question. The first thing that comes to my mind is this: after working with you, your team, it was the first time on a website that I had, something to attract someone to, like a giveaway that would attract them, and then be notified that people are actually accessing my site, so then I can reach out further to them. So that's been a tremendous addition. It's also been helpful for me because my message is clearer. I just have a sense that it it sort of pushes away, in a way, it pushes away the people that may not be a good choice for me to work with and align with. And,
Right.
That is not something I've had before, that it was kind of left up to me, and that was used my time. So
Yeah.
it's created an efficiency of time as well as
Yeah.
attracting the right people. And that's pretty powerful.
Yeah. No, that's really good. A lot of times people definitely want to be able to attract more leads and prospects, and just simply that micro change of having something available on your website for people to opt in is key. But also what you said is just the efficiency, right? Another client just told us, like, wow, we were able to just move through a lot of these, make decisions so much faster because we know who we are and who we're not. You didn't exactly quite say this, but I just want to, like, maybe remind you or share with the people is, if you look at the before and after of how you presented yourself as a brand visually, aesthetically, and then what you have now, it's almost like night and day.
Oh,
And
agreed.
what I would assert, it really is a match for the stature and the quality and the professionalism of who you are. Like, I think aesthetically, it just is, it's caught up. Your brand is caught up to who you are. Building a brand isn't just about having the perfect website and then not connecting with people human to human or one to one. So there's still that. It really is just a tool. And you really pointed on this, but it really is a tool such that if you are meeting someone or people who haven't met you yet, that you create an impression that people, like, they let their guards down a little bit more. And you're like, yes, actually, I do want to learn more about this person, as opposed to what are all the opportunities that you might have missed out on, would not have contacted you because the impression was that, I don't know if I'm going to contact this person, right? We'll never know.
Right. Yeah, I actually had someone just reach out to me this week who had gone to the website, and it's kind of funny because he grew up near where I grew up. And, you start having these similarities, but it's like he just went on this huge search of finding stuff that I had done in the industry and talks that I had given. And I sent me an email this morning, and I had to reply to him. Oh, my goodness, I have a groupie.
That's awesome.
That's the degree to which, the website is actually expressing who I am.
Well, listen, every business is different. Every brand is different. And I'm just been excited about, seeing, your growth. And truth be told, you were already an established business owner, and you're different than some of our other clients, right? But this is just for fine tuning and having everything aligned. What advice would you give someone who might be in your shoes, right? They're like, well, we've been successful without a brand or with just a logo, or I'm not sure about the process, or what advice would you give?
Beyond, calling you. I mean, I would say that if I think about the before and after, my initial website, I would look at as having been something that was deemed necessary. And that's why that was there.
Yeah.
And yet it never really felt like me. If someone hasn't done that yet, they can skip that step by working with you and just moving into having the opportunity to move into a platform and a website that really reflects your heart. And, I mean, that's what businesses are, right? They're born of someone's heart and soul. And to actually be able to put that forth in your website really sets you apart from other people in your industries.
There you have it. I mean, seriously, have your brand authentically represent who you are, your heart, your soul, right? And the logic there is that when you do that, the right people will show up into your business.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Well, there you have it. Thank you, Emily, so much for sharing your experience working with us, your experience in the branding process. I look forward to seeing more of these outcomes and benefits that you're getting now that your brand is just totally aligned and matched with who you are. So, and then I look forward to connecting with you soon.
Thank you so much, Ray. I really appreciate this opportunity and love sharing my wonderful experience.
All right. Cheers for now. Bye, Emily.
Bye.